Welcome back, everyone, to another show of To Industry. So this week we're gonna actually be talking about E3 and the Microsoft conference. Again, I'm Mike Games. This is Hill and Andrick to my right. And yeah, so what'd you guys think?
About the Microsoft? I
Did
mean,
they blow your mind?
it's kind of what to be expected because, like, what they were doing is they were kind of like evolving on the games they already had. They didn't really have too many new IPs. For example, they had like Crackdown and something of Fable, but I guess one that really kind of stood out to me was ironically Rise of the Tomb Raider.
That's not exactly their RP.
I know, but I mean they showcased it, so I mean that says badly about them that I was only interested in something that's shared between all the consoles.
Actually, one of their new IPs really blew me away, and it's a Microsoft. I don't know if it's Xbox One exclusive or just Microsoft exclusive, but was Ori.
Right, because it's made by indie developer, right? Like,
Yeah.
do you guys remember who it's made by?
No,
No,
but it's
No.
part of their ID, independent developer showcase.
yeah,
Yeah, it looked really good. I'm really excited about it. It's one of the few ones that actually got me excited.
yeah.
Yeah,
Besides what Microsoft did.
and I'm glad that a lot of these game companies are starting to move to more artistic qualities for their games rather than doing all this action packed 3D type of stuff.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's definitely a nice. It looks like a mixture, and I think they've said this mixture of Super Meat Boy and Metroid. So it's a nice mixture that I'm interested in playing, and the art looks beautiful.
Oh
And
yeah,
if you throw beautiful art in front of me, I'm gonna buy it.
just
Like
like
Child of Light.
Yeah,
exactly. But this seems like it has more vibrant colors. It just looks really amazing. I think that was the one game that Microsoft showcased that just really blew me away.
Well, when you seen that game, you were like, Microsoft won. They won. There's nothing better than that. Is there any other games that kind of like backed your cause of you feeling like Microsoft was the champion?
I don't know about the champion, but I think they did everything right this year. I know you disagree, but I mean, this year they brought it. They were like, all right, we're not going to screw up this year.
Right.
Game after game after game after game. They didn't talk about entertainment. They didn't talk about their, TV
they didn't talk about
shows.
Kinect or why we paid an extra $100 for it. They didn't talk about the future of their software, their updates that they were gonna do to
Right.
fix the problems they're having. No, they didn't talk about any of that stuff.
Yeah, because they were trying to kind of deviate from that because they knew they fucked up at the
They're
beginning.
still screwing up, and they didn't talk about anyways,
Oh, so you felt that they should have acknowledged all of the screw
they
ups that
should
they've
have
done.
addressed like, hey, this is what's coming in the fall. These are the updates we're gonna do. Something to look forward to. They could definitely put a positive spin on it and be like, you're gonna get this and this and this. And if you buy the Kinect, even though we're not selling it right now, this is why you should buy it. I mean, it would have taken nothing but 5 or maybe even 10 minutes extra, just to push their hardware as opposed to their software. Their software, they have a great lineup. They really do.
Right.
And some things really got me excited, like the Inside from the guys that created Limbo. I really like that
Right.
one.
Right.
Crackdown, the way it ended on Crackdown, sold me on Crackdown. How much I love that franchise.
Right.
Just things like that. But they didn't sell me on the hardware at all, or the updates that I spent an extra $100 on this system, and they're just kind of waved it over and be like, here are games. You wanted games, we're going to give you games. They could have easily addressed the people that were day one buyers in
Right.
the room, which probably the whole room was there.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And they flashed this, they flashed this all this sugar in front of them, and didn't acknowledge the elephant in the room, was their hardware.
I think their focus was so much of having PlayStation in the crosshairs that they wanted to be like, okay, they focus on games, we can focus on games too, and that's what they were focused on instead of like addressing, like you said, their past issues and the elephant in the room of like saying, hey, our hardware is still strong and we support it full fledged.
Well, they could even taken it a step further and been like, hey, did you want more memory than 500 gigabytes of space? Now you can hook up an external a hard drive to it.
Right.
And the thing is, like, they didn't do that. And they could have easily have come out ahead, but they didn't do that. They just wanted to be on par, and it just seems like they played it safe. And I
That's Microsoft in the T. Like that's what
No, it's
Microsoft
not
does.
Microsoft NT. Usually they don't listen, and now they did. But they could have easily just put a 10-minute segment and been like, this is what we're going to do with our hardware.
I personally liked that they didn't talk about their software. I mean, they usually have Major Nelson talk about some updates
Right.
and stuff like that. So, and I mean, I think
And he did
gamers,
kind of in the pre-show,
yeah,
but most people didn't see that.
Because like all these Xbox One owners, they're looking for games. You know, that's their focus now. Because granted, they spent extra to have this Connect and they want to know how to use it, but hell, they didn't have a large game library to actually utilize their system as well. Like a lot of people were waiting for.
Right.
And I mean that's why PlayStation is doing so well because I think they have a larger game library. Other than that, their console is cheaper.
Well, now they are getting larger. I think a lot of developers are moving over to PlayStation.
Right. So Xbox One would be like, hey guys, I want you guys to know that we do have games coming as well. So I kind of agree with Mike on that.
Well, they could have also said like, hey, Xbox Gold members, now you actually get recent games. You don't get games that are 2 years old. And for the Xbox One, now you're getting these games. Not a lot of people know that. So I mean,
Has
I think
Microsoft
now
ever done that?
now they're doing it now
Oh, okay.
for Xbox One, but and now they're actually promoting it. But when it actually came out and released these free games for people, you actually had to search for
Yeah.
them or read the news about them. So it's just like little things like that could have sold their system and made me feel better about good things to come. And now it just seems like we're just showing games just to. I understand it's E3, but you could have sold me a little bit more on the hardware. It made me feel safer about it.
I mean, to me, I think they just came strong out the gates. Like I said, it was just game after game after game. I'll get into what I thought about Sony. I mean, you guys were talking about a game from Sony, and, I didn't even remember what the hell it was, but I was really impressed. After Microsoft, I was like, all right, they brought it.
Right.
Like I said, it was game after game after game, and they showed Sunset Overdrive, that extra trailer for it, and I have to say, it kind of sold me. At first I was like, okay, it looks all right, but then after that trailer they showed, I'm like, all right, this looks like a lollipop chainsaw.
I was
But more
gonna say
fun.
I was gonna say that kind of caters to like your style of like the whimsy zombie game. So I was like, once I seen it, I was like, oh, that's Mike's game right there. And you can run around and do random shit too.
Well,
Like,
it's Insomniac, so I mean, I love them on PlayStation. I hate to see them on Microsoft, just personal feelings. But I mean, I'll still buy it just because I really do like those guys.
with that being said, they have my money.
They do, and I've bought their worst games and I've bought their best games. So it's a company I'll support.
They're really pumping out these Forza games, which is kind of crazy. I mean, like, it. Now I'm starting to sound like a person that's not into race games, where I'm like, it's the same fucking game. It's just in a different environment, even though they're done so well.
We'll kind of think of like, there's always a football game every
Right.
year. There's always a basketball game, and
Right?
I don't think it's an actual game they're coming out with. I think it's just DLC.
Is it?
No, I think
it's a full game because it's a sequel.
Horizons.
Yeah, it's a sequel.
Yeah, because they did DLC, which is one thing that will always sell me during a press conference is when they tell me that same day, and it's available today or right now. They did do a free DLC for a certain track
Right.
for the Forza 4, but Forza 5 I think is Horizons. So
Hmm.
yeah, that'll be out there.
And is there anything else that you that stuck out and just
I mean, I thought it was like they did a Halo game, like, which
Everybody saw
wasn't
that.
really surprising. I don't
What
know.
Halo? What?
Yeah, it was a Master Chief collection, and it just kind of put them all together and said, "Here you go again." All you
Prettier.
Halo fans that already own these games, now you can play them all on one disc. And I mean, I did like the multiplayer in that, so that is kind of interesting. But it seems again they played it safe by, playing those to the Halo fans out there.
It did seem like the entire crowd they went apeshit when they announced that, though.
Well, I mean, Microsoft is known for Halo, so I mean, the only thing they could have done is a Gears of War, and
Which I'm surprised they
didn't
did.
Hell,
do.
they did a better job than Nintendo because hell, when Nintendo announced their like game system a year later, they didn't announce like any brand new Mario IP or
Well,
Zelda IP.
Nintendo's a different beast.
So
They never play by rules or like to help fans feel comfortable about their system.
are played by common sense.
Yeah.
What did you think about Super Ultra Dead Horizon?
and that seems like that's a coming trend. Andrick actually brought it up. How a couple of these developers said, "Oh yeah, we're coming out with this DLC. Oh, and it's available today."
Which
And
PlayStation started. I'm just saying that they've always done that, and it's always won me over. Now Microsoft is doing it, which is fine,
well,
even though
it's
they're for
the
games I hate.
developers,
Well,
Capcom.
well, I'm just saying though. Usually, PlayStation started it when they did their press conference. They would always do something for free that day,
Right.
or something like that, or DLC available. And it seems like Microsoft is now getting on that band, which is fine. But again, they're games that I don't like.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, I actually, as soon as that was announced, I loved the title. I was like,
Right.
that is ridiculous. Capcom making fun of themselves.
Making fun of themselves.
And I downloaded it as soon as it was available.
The problem is the Street Fighter people are like, that's not funny. We,
Oh yeah, so what do you think? Was it funny?
yeah, it was. I mean, they understood their own humor. You know, if that makes any sense. I'm
Well,
sorry.
Capcom has always made fun of themselves a little bit.
Yeah, it's called them trying to story write in their own games. That's them making fun of themselves. But I mean, it was pretty interesting, and because you know how Capcom works, they have like different developer groups, right? So it probably was one developer group taking a shot at another. So
Yeah, and it's pretty clever the way they do it. It's not, and you could definitely see why they made fun of it because it's Dead Rising. It's one of their games that they also don't take too serious.
right,
Well, I see. I would disagree with that because the storyline was supposed to totally be serious, but then they give you these stupid characters in there or stupid weapons, which takes away from the story that was trying to be serious.
welcome to Capcom.
No,
That's
no.
how.
Not
Give me
all their games are like that.
the majority of their games are like that. Give me an example of one that's not like that, if you can.
That's a serious Capcom
Yeah,
game.
that's serious all the way through, and they don't start ditzying up their
Oh,
characters.
Now you called me out, but there are a few, and now I'm gonna have to do some research and talk about this later.
You're gonna find like this.
But I am gonna find it.
this
'Cause there
1986
are.
game.
No, there are some.
And was there anything else that kind of stood out?
They did mention one Kinect game, which was Dance Central. um,
Which actually I'm kind of surprised about. That was one of my predictions was that they were gonna come out with something, well, with a few games for the Kinect to kind of counteract the whole VR.
Right, and they didn't at all.
they came out with just the one Kinect Fantasia or Disney Fantasia,
Right.
and then Dance Central Spotlight.
You think they're going to try to shovel the Connect to the side because that, I mean, that kind of piggybacks on what Andrick said. Is like they didn't come out with anything to show support for the Connect,
Right, or updates. They're going to make it better or user friendly,
or say we're going to give everyone $100 back for buying this Connect.
or a free game. Like I'd even take a couple free games from them just to be like, okay, hey, sorry guys, like or a free DLC or something, something
Yeah.
just to be like, hey, we're sorry we're not making because we told you this was necessary
Part of the system, yeah.
and now we backtrack because Sony was kicking our ass.
Right, it's complete bullshit that they did that.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, they showed a Fan on Dust exclusive, which very few people really knew about. I kind of knew about it in the back of my head. I remember in the Xbox it came out, so I'm interested to see how that works. They did show Platinum Games, I believe, Scalebound,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is totally Japanese. Like
Right.
you watch the trailer, and you're like, oh, this is Japanese game.
This is Japanese as hell.
Yeah, so there were a couple of things that really did stand out. They did have just as many exclusives as PlayStation, which I was surprised, but they didn't really stand out for me. Like Spark was an exclusive.
Right.
Let's see, I said Phantom Dust,
Fable Legends.
a Fable
Fable.
Legends,
Right.
which the beta is this holiday, so it just seemed like it's way far off. Like I don't, and I wasn't the last Fable I wasn't a fan of, and the creator actually left.
Right.
So it's kind of a weird franchise to still
Right, because
supported.
that's what that was interesting too. Because Molyneux like left, but like the franchise is still part of Microsoft.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? He had his hands so deeply into Fable
Right.
that I would be amazed if they actually were able to like go along with the same characteristics as the previous game.
Right.
I'll be really surprised.
Right. And so it just kind of intrigued me, but not enough to be like, I want that game. So I mean, there were a couple things, but it just didn't do it for me.
I was actually excited I know you weren't about the new Tomb Raider.
Fuck
I mean,
that.
I did call it. I did think they were gonna come out with something, and they did. And I mean, it's not until next year.
No, you
It's
did
going to
call
be
it.
till 2 years. I'm calling it right now. And they're going to show it some more gameplay, and we're like, oh, we're moving it to the next year.
Well,
early
from what I
quarter.
understood is like they're going to focus more on the tombs, like the original Tomb Raider,
Mhm.
and those were like the best parts of the
It's
game.
the rise of the Tomb Raider.
Right, right, and those were the best parts of the game. So hopefully they dwell more into that rather than the other bullshit, the other Uncharted ripoffs that they were doing.
I'll take an Uncharted ripoff.
I would take Uncharted.
Well, we'll
Period.
get to that.
We'll get to that IP later.
Old Nathan Drake.
Oh, nice.
All right.
Right.
I think that's basically all of it, right?
Maybe they announced some DLC for Killer Instinct.
Season 2, I think, is starting up for those Killer Instinct fans out there.
Right.
So, yeah.
It's good stuff. There's a lot of fighting games coming out actually just for all systems. Killer Instinct. If you haven't played it already, you need to play it. It's fun.
Yeah, I
And
think
flashy.
that's-
It's extremely flashy.
Crackdown.
And Crackdown. Well, Andrew was talking about
Yeah,
Crackdown.
they ended on Crackdown. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a nice ending. I did like that they ended on Crackdown.
The thing about Crackdown, like, it's a good game, but I never got into it because it's like if you take, Infamous and Prototype and Saints Row and Grand Theft Auto and mix them all into one, that's fucking Crackdown, and it's just like this random, just
Well, Crackdown did a lot of things before, I think.
that's true.
Infamous and all that stuff.
That's true.
So,
Actually, Saints Row, I think, got a lot of his ideas from Crackdown.
oh yeah, the last Saints Row definitely because they
Right.
have all these superpowers in it. Yeah, I mean, part 2, I think Crackdown 2 was horrible for those who played it, and probably don't even remember there was a Crackdown 2. If you but Crackdown 1 was a great game, and to see them reboot the franchise is really interesting. I hope they have a series
Right.
involved instead of just kind of just throwing part 1 out there and then doing number 2 as a crap.
Yeah,
so.
but games like that are like so all over the place without any real focus kind of bothers me.
Yeah, they had that. The first one was very concise,
Right.
but they didn't know where to take it after that.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah. So
Oh, The Witcher. That really impressed me graphics wise.
I mean, their graphics are ridiculous,
yeah,
and they have some really intense stories. I am still trying to get into that Western RPG mode again. Like with Dragon Age and Witcher and all that
I
stuff.
feel like I would like Witcher more than I like Skyrim. And I put them compared the same because they seem like you can go anywhere and do anything.
Right.
Run into these adventures, and I don't like Bethesda.
That's really the reason why.
and so this other company seems to be making something. Maybe it's a little bit more user friendly than that.
And they're more story driven, whereas like Skyrim and all the Bethesda games they like to have you become your own character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
make your own
So,
destiny and story.
I don't know. I couldn't really get into it, so I can't agree or
It's 'cause you're a
disagree.
hater.
Yeah, I am. Sorry, Bethesda.
They're like, how dare he?
Sorry, Maryland.
But cool, I think that's about it.
Yep.
So be sure to catch our next video. We'll be talking about
Sony.
Sony's E3 conference.
And Sony means no signal.
Yes. Well, that's actually Samsung. But,
Oh well, whatever.
but catch you guys later.
Later.